Welcome to a new edition of the Neon Jazz interview series with Kansas City-based jazz saxophonist, composer, and educator Pete Fucinaro. We caught up with Pete to talk about his new life in Kansas City that began back in June of 2020. He is originally from Omaha, Nebraska, and graduated from the University of North Texas. Over his time in the craft, he has played with the 7-time Grammy-nominated OClock lab band, Melissa Aldana, Maria Schneider, and the great Gary Smulyan. His KC lore is just beginning, and he has a lot to say about it. Enjoy the story.
Cool, man. Hey, thanks for taking a minute out for the show. I appreciate it.
Oh, absolutely. I'm happy to be doing it.
So, welcome to Kansas City.
Thank you.
From what I understand, you're relatively new to the scene, so we should probably just start at the top here. When did you arrive here, and what brought you to Kansas City?
So I moved here in June of 2020, so kind of during the height of the pandemic. But so I was doing my undergrad down at the University of North Texas, and I was living with my fiance, and we both are from Omaha, Nebraska, and so we have been close to Kansas City our whole lives and have been coming down here frequently. And it's just been a town that we've always loved, and it really had the best of both worlds for what we wanted to do, me doing music and then her doing her career. So it just seemed like a great place to be at because, you know, the scene is so happening here and so welcoming and a bunch of great music happening, a bunch of great people. So, that's kind of how we decided to come here.
Well, and I guess I'm thinking, you know, coming here during a pandemic, you know, it could have been any city at that time. I mean, everything was in the same kind of boat. So talk to me a little bit about your roots, kind of how everything started for you in jazz and kind of what your childhood was like in Omaha.
I had a brother who was probably the main influence of getting into music. He started playing, I think I was 8 years old when he started playing music. He started playing, I would have been younger. He started playing trombone and, you know, like the 5th grade band in school. And then he started playing bass a little bit older than that. And then when he started playing bass, I wanted to start playing music and started playing guitar actually. And then as soon as I could start playing in band, I got a saxophone and had a great mentor in my band program. He was a great jazz musician in Omaha and also had great support system from my parents and just people around me, and a bunch of great mentors throughout my life that were really useful and key role models, and got me into the music. Same thing in high school. Great teacher at my high school that really pushed me, you know, to be the best I could be, and had some great private instructors as well. So that's kind of how I grew up playing music, I'd say.
So what were some influences? Who were some players that you were listening to growing up that really kind of shaped the way that you were going to approach music?
I didn't do too much. I think I should have started listening earlier on. But when I started listening, I got a lesson from a guitar player in Omaha. People from here might know his name, Luke Polipnik. And he gave me a list. It was a sheet of paper, and like every square inch of the paper was filled with a name. Just like, check out this person, check out this person, listen to this person. Oh, listen to this record. So I was like, before that though, I was listening to things like, you know, a lot of high schoolers are listening to like Josh Redman, you know, super accessible and a great player, listening to a lot of that stuff. But then what Luke kind of got me hip to was, he's like, check out the Lenny Tristano school, check out Mark Turner. That kind of changed the way I started hearing music. And I probably at that age, the music was a little over my head, but, you know, I just kept listening and it just crept its way into my playing. And so, like, that school was a big influence early on. So, like, the really cerebral, like, harmonic, rhythmic, a lot of things going on in there. And then hearing, like, what Mark Turner did with it, that was a big influence. And then, you know, later on, obviously, people like Coltrane and Bird are big influences. And then, like, Sonny, and currently now on, like, a big Joe Henderson kick. So a lot of people, but, you know, the Tristano school, Mark, Joe Henderson, Train, Bird, those people all have a huge influence on my playing. And those are just saxophonists. You know, there's obviously even more.
Right on. So what about your first live jazz show you saw that really blew you away? What was that?
I would say I started first hearing live jazz shows in Omaha, there was a big band that would play every Monday night at the place called the Ozone, and unfortunately they're actually just starting to close. The owner wants to retire, so, but I would go hear them, and that was kind of like my introduction to like live jazz music. So like people always ask like, oh, what was the first concert you saw? And it's like, I don't even know, because I saw so many of those sorts of shows, I can't even remember what the first one was. But yeah, my parents were always down like, hey, let's go to the Ozone, let's go listen to the big band. And so that would probably be the first like introduction to a live jazz show, I thought, was this big band. And they would play things like, you know, some fad charts, or the leader was this guy named Margaret Chulot, and he was a trumpet player and kind of a crooner type guy. So they would be playing like some Frank Sinatra sort of things, like Sinatra at the Sands arrangements and stuff like that. But then they would throw in like a Basie charter, throw in fad and stuff like that. So I would say that would be the first show I saw.
So you had the chance to play in the OClock band at University of North Texas. You know, it's such a celebrated outfit. What was that like? What did you learn from being in that band?
Oh, I learned a lot, definitely. It was a ton of work to get there. I spent a lot of time working on my reading. That was, you know, because like the way the auditions work is the first round of auditions is actually just reading. So like I spent most of my undergrad just practicing like sight reading and stuff like that. And so that's been a great skill that I've had. It's kind of like a muscle, so it kind of stays. So my reading has gotten a lot better from that. Also just like organization, because there's so much music that's being prepared in that band for like show after show. So like your practice sessions need to be very well organized if you want to cover everything that needs to be covered, and then also work on all the other things you got to work on too. So yeah, like reading, organization, being professional, being reliable, those are all some of the biggest things I learned from playing in that band. And then also like playing in a big band. You know, you don't get the opportunity to play with a big band like that unless you're in school. Because like if you get a big band gig, you're not rehearsing 4 times a week for an hour and then like diving into the music, and everyone's not listening to this. Not everyone has the Google Drive link to all the charts and all the recordings, and everyone's using the same recording. You're just kind of thrown into a band that, oh, I think I've heard this sad chart a few times. Oh, I've played this one a ton. You know, everyone's got kind of a different level on the music. And so playing that band, you can really, really get into the music, get it sounding really tight. And so, yeah, playing in a big band, playing in a section, I learned a lot from being in that band with that.
You're here in Kansas City now. How has everything been going since you've been here? I mean, what is your take on the scene? How do you feel about getting more interwoven into this Kansas City scene?
Again, being from Omaha, I kind of had a little bit of a connection here. Just like I would come up to Omaha during like summer breaks, and I would play with people in Omaha. I would play in Omaha with people from Kansas City. So I kind of had a little bit of an in and knew some people from that. And everyone here was so kind. So, but getting here was a little rough just because of the time I came with the pandemic. I didn't get to do much playing except like outdoor sessions at a friend's house. We would play on his deck. And that was about the only playing I was doing. I was actually working at a liquor store for a year. And then finally, you know, as things started improving and getting better, more opportunities started coming. And it was kind of like all of a sudden, like the faucet turned on with like things coming in, opportunities, gigs. And so it's been just really exciting to get back into that and get back into the swing of things and playing again. It was something I really missed. So I'm just really thrilled to be back playing and having like a busy schedule with playing with people and rehearsing and gigs and all sorts of different projects. So
well, and you know, now we're farther into this thing. We're closer to hopefully the pandemic being over with. What is your itinerary? What is your 2022 starting to look like as far as gigs here and things kind of getting back to a playing level?
So this month I've been having, I was doing the Sava residency. So every Thursday at Sava. I kind of started off the year actually with some shows around I had some shows in Dallas and then in KC and Omaha, doing some work with like a pit orchestra, and things are just starting to come in more and more, just like kind of odd things, unrelated. Also, let's see, kind of thinking about doing maybe a tour this summer too, just something in the Midwest. So I'm just kind of taking things as they come and trying to fill in my schedule and trying to stay busy, and just really working on getting better at the saxophone and getting better at writing, just getting better at music. And I feel like now I'm finally able to, now that I'm back playing so much again now. So
what is it that you like the best about being a professional musician? I mean, you get to wake up every day and create music. This is your life. What do you like the best about this existence as a professional musician?
Yeah, I mean, I think the lifestyle of a musician rocks. It's great, you know, and it's such a social thing. That was honestly, so like during the pandemic, that was the hardest part, is like, you know, I'm still working on my craft. I'm still working on the saxophone. I'm still working on writing. I'm still listening to music, but I was really missing the social aspect, because, you know, this is a social music. It's meant to be with people. So just being around a bunch of great people playing music and having a good time, that's probably one of my favorite parts of this music, making music with a bunch of great people. That's something that I absolutely love.
So over this COVID time, you know, since you moved here and since it's gone on, you know, it's been really hard on musicians because they're just, for obvious reasons and for the whole world. What have you learned about yourself over this time that maybe you didn't realize before the pandemic that's going to make you stronger as you do reemerge and kind of get into more gigs?
Kind of what I was saying earlier, like I kind of learned, like, what is it that I love about this music? It's like I knew I liked playing this music, and I never maybe knew exactly why. But again, it's the being around a bunch of great people and playing a social music with a bunch of people. It kind of also made me realize things because of that. Like, it was really easy, you know, pre-pandemic, let's say you hear a lot of people talk about this, but like getting in your head when you're playing, right? Like I sounded so bad on that. It kind of made me step back and realize, okay, this music isn't about me. It's about, you know, the music's about the music. It's about this social art form. And if you are to focus on yourself, first of all, if the second you get in your head, you're doomed, right? You're not getting out of that. And the music's going to suffer from that. And if you start thinking after the gig, man, I sounded so bad. Oh, that was the worst I've ever played. My time sounded so bad. Why did I play that note, right? Then you're just missing the point of the music. And that's just such a self-centered approach to it. And in reality is most likely everyone on the bandstand's having fun. People in the audience are having fun. And if you can't, I'm just like trying to step away, and every time I play, focus on that aspect. Like, okay, everyone had a great time. I had a good time. If you can get it, the second if I don't get in my head, I realize, oh, this rocked. This was so much fun. I can't wait to do this again tomorrow. So that's definitely been one of the big takeaways from this pandemic, I would say.
You know, Kansas City has such a history, has such a lore, from Bird to, you know, Jay McShann, all the way down the line. If you could get into a time machine and go back in time in Kansas City and see one musician, who would you see? Who would you love to see live?
I'd see Bird. You know, that'd be crazy. That'd be awesome. Easily, that'd be my answer.
What about right now in the world of modern music? Is there anybody that out there in the world of jazz that you haven't seen live that you would love to catch live?
Oh yeah, there's so many people. I just actually had the opportunity to see Mark Turner in Kansas City, and I've always talked about it. I'm gonna schedule a trip this summer to go see Mark Turner play. That's gonna be like the center of the trip, is seeing him play. And I got to see him in my own backyard. I got to see him at the Blue Room, and it rocked. It was Robert Hurst, Damian Reed, Mark Turner, and Logan Richardson. It's like some of my favorite musicians. So
wow,
that was great. I would love to hear Marcus Gilmore play. I'd love to hear Ambrose play, Ambrose Akinmusire, Walter Smith III. No, I have seen them play, I'm thinking. I was going to say Emmanuel Wilkins, but I did get to see Emmanuel play in New York not too long ago. The list is endless.
Yeah. So,
you know?
and you hit on exactly what I was going for. It's a simple question, but it packs a punch. Why do you love jazz?
It's just so freeing and fun. I've met so many amazing people. I've made some amazing music with people. It's just a great time, and it has so much tradition and history to it that you can explore for the rest of your life. You know, like I learn something new every day, like from this music. I learned interesting bits of history all the time. It's just full of so much great stuff that's why I love it, I'd say.
What are you looking forward to the most here in town when everything opens up? What is it that what are some grooves that you want to get into in the Kansas City Jazz scene? What are you looking forward to?
Well, obviously just playing. I just want to play, and it's starting to happen, so that's exciting. I would love to start playing my music, and it's happening a bit, but I would love to be playing my music and other people's music consistently, not just like a one-off show. So, because I feel like you grow a lot as a musician if obviously you learn a lot from playing standards, and I love playing standards, but if you can start playing other people's music and writing your own music, that's just a super fast way to open up your ears and create your voice and just help you grow as a musician.
So everyone has a perception or an idea of who they think you are, your family, your friends, your fans, but ultimately you live your life. You have a perception of you. Who do you think you are?
Oh, man. I just think I'm someone that's trying to be a better person every day, be more kind and loving to everyone around me, and just trying to do better. I don't know if I want like people to think of me as a saxophonist. I'm just trying to be a better person every day, you know, and so I want to hopefully be thought of that way.
Perfect, man. Pete, thanks for opening up with Neon Jazz. Good luck here in the Kansas City scene. Welcome, and I look forward to seeing you out there play.
Oh, thank you so much. This was a ton of fun. I really appreciate you having me.
Thanks for listening and tuning in to another Neon Jazz interview, where we give you a bit of insight into the finest players in Omaha, Kansas City, and spots all over the world, giving fans all that jazz. Thanks to Pete, and welcome to Kansas City. If you want to hear more interviews, go to Famous Interviews with Joe Domino in the iTunes Store. Visit neonjazz at youtube.com, and for everything Neon Jazz all the time, go to the neonjazz.blogspot.com. Until next time, enjoy the jazz, my friends.
Neon Jazz.